Okay, so here we are again at Project S3. So, a little bit of good news. So, I may have said it in last week's video that we found a company who can repair the lugs on the car. At first I thought all three lugs were damaged, but that's not the case. So, here is the mount here. So, this is the mount that holds the car up. Or bolt that bolts to the engine. So we can see where the damage is here. So on this side, so that's this side of the engine, the lug's absolutely fine, and what's broken is the actual mount. Now this mount is supposed to break rather than the engine mounts. Let's see if we can see this now. So the two engine mounts that have broken are just below there. Not sure if you can see it, but just there, that's the one that's broken. Now if you can see that now, I'm gonna get my torch and shine down there. So just down there now, it's there's half of it that's come off, but actually that's still in place. It's just falling further down in the engine. And then the one down below, I think that's also there as well. Well, actually no, sorry, the one down below you can't see. That is the one that's still in place. Down the bottom, down there, I'm just gonna put this torch somewhere, hopefully, and then just shine it. Right, there we go. So just right down the bottom down there, watch my finger, just there. I've still got the other side of that, so that can be welded back. The troublesome one is this one at the top here. This one here, just there. That one there may not be so easy to repair, but this company, they're a vintage car company and they're used to doing this kind of work, so they're quite confident that they will be able to do a repair stronger than the original manufacturers, so that's good to see. And also I spoke about some of all this when we took it apart. We had a massive oil leak, etc. So that is from here. So here you can see a clean hole here. This is the oil pressure sensor, and that's been broken off when the engine's dropped down. At the moment I've got the engine jacked up, so that I can take the so I was able to take the bolt off, and that's the reason why you can see that so clearly. So that's where the oil would have come spurting out of that hole down there. That hole there, you see it? So and that's the reason why we've got oil all over the place, and that's one of the reasons why on the car it's got "do not start" written all over it. You can see it there in the back, "do not start" upside down. So hopefully that was abided by, and that we'll be able to save this car. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be taking the alternator off. I'm going to see what state that's in, but I already know that's going to be damaged beyond repair. I want to take off the compressor for the air conditioning unit, to strip that off. We've taken the battery tray out, and that's all gone, and we've taken the cables off for the starter motor. So there's your main power cable, that's all disconnected. We've taken the ECU out. Basically we're stripping the car down. I've taken off the fuel return. I've now just got to take out the main fuel sender supply unit. Hopefully that won't be pressurized. It shouldn't be, because the car primes it every time. So taking off the return, that should be, well, we should be in a good place. And there's a couple more bolts down below I've got to do. So the turbo, that needs to be done, and then we need to start taking the drive shafts apart. Now fortunately on the S3 they've got quite tough drive shafts. So basically what we should have, we've got splines. So you're not going to be able to see it, but just down below there you should see the drive shaft, and we've got splines, so they should be quite straightforward to take apart. The tough one is going to be the drive shaft down below for the four-wheel drive system. That's the tough one, because we've got to drop all of that down below, down the back there, to get to it. So I've got my Audi workshop, so we should be able to get that apart. So we're not going to get that done in this episode, but we're going to just try and concentrate on clearing this area up so that we can free it up. Once we get that done, we've just got the bolt here that's holding the engine in place, and then we've got the dog box down below. I've unbolted one bolt, but there's another one that needs to be done, and then the engine should come forward. I've got my hoist here, but that's going to be another episode. We're not going to get that done today. So let's just start stripping down back what we can on this side here, and then we can evaluate where we need to go next. Okay, let's give you a little bit of an update. So we've got the alternator out. Now the alternator unfortunately is broken. This is the top of the alternator, and that's how we mount it to the vehicle. So we're gonna have to replace the alternator. The air compressor pump, that's come out okay, although this bit here at the top is supposed to come off. It hasn't. It needs to be taken off, but unfortunately, because I was trying to do it via the pipe's quite brittle, and that's broken off. So I'm gonna, fortunately I can replace just this pipe piece here, and I'm actually quite happy to replace that because I don't know what state this cable's in actually after it's been damaged. It's got quite a big kink in there as well, so losing that is not much of an issue. But the air compressor pump is in good state. There is no damage that I can see on there. The only thing will be, time will tell, was when we mount it back and see if it when we charge up the system, whether it will generate, but I can't see that being damaged. Okay, so looking at the block now, so this is the oil pump unit. It's all part of the oil pump assembly, and you can see here it's cracked at the top here. Let me just zoom in there so you can see that, but there's a clear crack there, which well, I have to replace this unit anyway because of the damage we saw earlier on with the oil pressure sender. So this whole unit here, that needs to come off next, and then once we get that, we can then get to the bolts and see what the situation is behind here. So yeah, so we'll do that, and then I think that will call it a day for today. Okay, so oil cooler is now out, and you can see the damage here, why we need to replace this. So basically this is where the alternator goes, but this is clearly broken off here, and we've got the hole on the side that we showed you earlier. You can see it just there, so that's clearly broken, but a lot of the other parts are serviceable. So this wheel here, which basically is a guide rail to tighten up the belt, that might be serviceable, but I may just decide to replace it just because of the fact that the belt, which you can see here, you can see the damage on the belt, and that it may have taken an impact. No point keeping this old wheel here where the bearings might have been crushed or damaged and then have to replace it at a later date. Also, this switch here is broken off, so here's the end piece for that switch. Wrong cable, here we go. So that's broken, so we're gonna have to see what we can do about that, see if we can repair that or just replace this piece of the loom. That might be a serviceable part in terms of getting a replacement. And then here's what we're left. So you can see here, this is where our damage is on the engine mount. So here and here, this one is completely gone. So I'm hoping that this company can rebuild that. But this one here, we do have the piece, and that is here. So I'm hoping that they should be able to weld it on. They think that they can. So I need to make sure we put that into a very safe place so we don't lose that. And that's it really. So the next thing that we need to do is obviously take off the drive shaft. So that's the last thing that's holding this in place. The drive shafts underneath, and also the prop shaft that leads to the rear wheels, because this, of all the cars, all the times I have to get a quattro, it's when the engine needs to come out of the car. So we need to separate that, and there is a procedure that you need to follow very closely. Now these drive shafts, as I mentioned earlier on, they are bolted in using spline bolts, but they are stretch bolts, which means that when we take them out, we have to replace them. We can't reuse the same bolts again. If we do, they will come out in a matter of days. So it's very important that we replace all of these. I need to find out whether these bolts that secure the oil pump assembly unit in place, whether they're stretch bolts as well. So yeah, we've made quite a lot of progress from stripping the engine, and then hopefully next week we're going to take the engine out. Once we get that out, we'll then take it over to Trickett's Motors to get that piece resolved, and hopefully they'll be able to repair that. But we're making good progress. Next, we won't do that today. We've got to take off this unit here because it's cracked. You can see it's got a hairline crack here, so that needs to be replaced. And we've also got this unit here, and that's also damaged as well, so we need to replace that as part of the assembly as well. So we're getting there. We're starting to make some progress. And then the crankshaft chain casing is pulled out. I'm not sure whether it's damaged or not, but I will inspect that once we get the engine out and we can get a closer look. So yeah, so progress has been made, slow but sure enough. We're making progress. So yeah, good. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the tools from my Sonic S8 toolbox. Everything that I've done today, all the tools that I've been using, have all been from the Sonic range of tools, and you can get those from our sponsor Tool Maniac, and they're linked in the comments below, so you'll see a link to that site if you want to get that. These tools so far have been really brilliant, and I've not had to go out and get anything else, which is what I normally have to do when I'm doing jobs like this. I always find that I've got a component that I don't have, but fortunately with the Sonic box I've got everything that I need, so that's great and comforting to know. Okay, so we made some fine progress this week, and that's going to be all for this week. Don't forget to subscribe if you're a casual watcher down here, and hit that notification bell, and don't forget to share this video as well. We'll see you next week as we continue to strip down the S3.